Good morning, it's Barbara. I am on my sister's patio overlooking the beautiful mountains around Boise, Idaho. And I'm going to be sitting right here and we'll see how this works. Good morning, it's Barbara. My sister lives on, I wouldn't call it a busy corner, but there are lots of joggers and dog walkers. You're going to see people go behind me and some cut through traffic, so I hope you can hear me. And there's a little construction across the street, so we will see how this works. I haven't been here for a while. It feels like a lifetime, to tell you the truth. I have had the most brutal week of my life, and that is not an exaggeration. As I said last time, my sister just encountered too much for her life. I'm gonna move this closer to me. I'm afraid you can't hear me and you're gonna fall. Maybe not. So she's been on dialysis for 3 years and with no real good hope of coming off of it. And then she had health complications that were making it impossible for her to live happily. And she decided to put herself into hospice and stop her dialysis, which is essentially a version of committing suicide. Medical suicide would have been much more humane. But anyway, so last week on Monday, my brother Tim and I flew together, as it turned out, to Boise to spend time, to be with my sister. And my brother John followed the next day. And my daughter Christy came. She drove from Mississippi 2,900 miles or 2,300 miles or some, I don't know, 29 hours to be here to support her aunt and to support her mother. And I'm very grateful to have her here. So we had like a family reunion, and it's very rare for me and my brothers and my sister to be together all at the same time in the first place, and also to be here without our spouses. So it was just the four of us and Christy, and of course Christy has family here. Her stepson lives in Boise, which is one of the reasons she picked Boise, and her daughter-in-law were here. But it felt like we had, just some family time, and it was so weird in the beginning because it was as if she was already in the hospital when we got here, and it was as if she were recovering from a surgery or something, and we were all sitting around, telling stories and cheering her up in her, it seemed like her recovery. She was feeling okay, and for the first couple of days, and it was the whole event has been very surreal, to be honest. And after the first 3 days, she started not being able to really participate, but she was enjoying listening, and but the last few days she has been out of it, mostly sleeping, not being able to, she was talking almost like she was dreaming and things, but she wasn't coherent. I mean, sometimes we could understand the words, but there was no context. And so she had her last dialysis a week ago, Saturday, and this is Tuesday, so that's 9 days. And she passed away last night after a very tough day for me and Ada. She was completely out of it. She was on morphine, but her daughter-in-law and Christy and I were there, and I was very happy that Christy had to go and work, because her classes start tomorrow. She has online classes, but she has work to do, and so she went back to get a little work done because she thought today might not be a great day for working because it started to look like we were getting close, and that last hour and a half was something else. So it's been really hard and really surreal, but the most unbelievable part of this whole thing is last Saturday, while we were holding our dying sister's hand, I got a call from the hospice lady at Harmony, where my mother lives, that my mother died. So my mother died on Saturday, and my sister died on Tuesday. They said Mama died in her sleep quietly, and but both John and I, who are her local people, to hold her hand, and we were both in Idaho. So my mother didn't know my sister was dying, and my sister didn't know that our mother died. But I think it's fair to say that this has been the most brutal week of my life. Really, really something else. So, but I have my daughter here to comfort me, and Ada, Christy's daughter-in-law, is wonderful, and we've been hugging and, you know, supporting each other. All three of us are living in my sister's house here while we're here. And Christy had been planning to take an extra day or two driving back to Mississippi, and she had this idea. She wanted to go through the desert and, you know, go into the black of night and see the Milky Way. And she invited me to take her road trip with her, and I'm going to do that. So she and I are going to be driving around Southwest United States looking for the Milky Way and taking some time to process and figure things out, because it is kind of mind-blowing here, I have to say. So, I mean, the weird conversations with my sister for the past week have talked about, oh, you know, go through my wardrobe. You know, I bought a couple dresses with Christy in mind, and Barb, you're in charge of all the ceramics and all the glass, and make, you know, to give to people, and, you know. And so our conversations with her, when she was having conversations, were, you know, a lot of it was about how she wanted us to distribute her stuff. And, you know, so one of the things we're doing is figuring out, and she has beautiful stuff, so what we can take, we may ship some things home, but the thing is that over the years she's been a very generous artist, and so I have a lot of the things that she made, and John has all the things she made for him, and he's at the farm where, I mean, she made even more things for my parents. So we have a lot of her art already to, you know, have her in our lives. So we'll see what we do here, but that's the next day or two what Christy and I will be doing, and figuring out how to get it home and what to take and who. But it felt so odd, you know, as she was dying, to just, you know, talk about divvying up her stuff. It felt very ghoulish almost, but the whole thing was just so surreal. So, yeah, so we're gonna go look for the Milky Way, and I'll end up in Mississippi, and Christy will find an airport to get rid of me from, and I'll go home from the southern Midwest, central, whatever that is.
Deep South.
The Deep South. I will go home from the Deep South. Christy just came out and she's sitting here with me. So I will be, quite a few more days. I'm not sure, maybe the rest of the week, without vlogging. And when I get back home and have some of this all processed a little bit and let you know. And we, trying to figure out how to manage this after my mother died, and we're like, we have to compartmentalize and just focus on Christy because she needs us right now. Christy, my sister, just to avoid confusion. She needs us now, and we have to be here for her and present. And so now it's the time to grieve for everybody. I mean, in the last 6 weeks, I've lost both my parents and my sister. This would be a very unbelievable fiction story, I think. Anyway, I've gotten wonderful support from her, Christy, my daughter, Christy, and my sister Christy's family that's around. And Dennis has been wonderful on the phone. I'm very frustrated that he's not here helping and hugging me. So Christy's been giving me lots of hugs. We've been hugging each other because, of course, she's also gone through a horrible week with her aunt. So anyway, no good news here. No good news here other than my sister is out of her misery and was able to end up the way she wanted to end up. And I just had interruption with a conversation with Ada organizing today, and so I can't remember what I was talking about. But as I just said to Christy, that's very common on my vlog, and people come to expect it. So anyway, yeah. So we're going to be leaving in the next day or two to start our Milky Way adventure in the desert, and then I'll be home. We'll plan Mama's funeral, and then I have to put on my big girl pants because I'm her executor, and that's going to be a real executor's job. And so you might get tired of hearing about Pennsylvania estate law by the time I'm done with this. Now I'm just trying to figure out how I feel. I'm just trying to figure out how I feel. But to be honest, I've been mourning my mother for quite some time because she was, so different in the end. And I've known a long time that Christy was ill, and she was doing a lot of estate planning for the last 3 years, so this is not a topic that was out of the blue either, but it has been a brutal week. And I hope you weren't coming to have a cup of coffee and a light chat, because today was not the day for that. Did I warn you about that in the beginning? I don't even remember. So I'm gonna go and upload this and finish my coffee and get dressed. I'm in my jammies out on the patio. And think about starting my day. Meanwhile, please take good care of yourselves. Hug your loved ones. Call your people. And stay safe and stay safe.